What?
And
Idiot.
Idiot. Here I am last night, and I'm laying on the couch
Normal.
because I don't go out, and do things.
Right. Normal. That's a lie.
Oh, rarely. Played some golf Friday.
Right.
Got 18 holes in before the rain came.
There was no rain.
Had a few Miller Lights, 8 to be a fact. Shot decent. Not great, but decent.
I mean, he didn't shoot nothing,
but anyway,
bud.
so I'm laying there on the couch the other night, and I'm watching some documentaries about prison.
Yeah, I like prison docs.
And Angola State Prison came up down in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And right away, I started thinking, hey, Rooster was a CO down there.
Right.
Maybe he was a part of that at one time.
Yeah, he very well could have been.
And so we're lucky enough we get to have him back on our show today.
That is true.
Why don't we bring Rooster on and find out exactly where he was
if old Rooster
was.
Angola.
Yeah, or see if he knows anything about it.
Right.
Yeah. It really caught my attention. Yeah. And I kind of told you about it, and you got onto it. And that's cool.
Oh, Angola boy.
Let's bring Big Rooster on here.
There he is.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, Roost, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, buddy?
Speaking of you playing 18 holes, Angola actually has a golf course on it.
You're kidding.
For the employees to go and play golf when they want to.
For the employees.
No kidding.
Are they there?
And believe it or not, the offenders are the caddies.
Oh, that makes sense.
That is a job for them where they can, if they're trustees, they can, I know we're going backwards, but just to bring up the golf, that the employees that live on the farm, see, Angola's 18,000 acres.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you know all about Angola.
Oh, yeah. That was the first prison I went to work straight out of high school.
Oh, no
Oh,
shit.
my Lord.
Well, while we're on this, let's just roll with it.
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Because you got my attention here.
I'm a third-generation correction officer. My dad, his dad, and he worked at Angola when they opened Camp J.
Mm-hmm.
Because Angola's not just, you don't just go through the front gate and there's one prison. Right. There's main prison, and then there's Camp D, there's Camp F, there's Camp J, there's Camp C, and each one of those camps has their own level of offender. Because you got maximum, medium, minimum,
all in one prison.
To be in Angola, you basically got to have life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So basically, everybody you come in contact with has life, whether they're a trustee, whether they're in Camp J, extended lockdown. I guess to basically understand Angola is you got to understand the level of inmate. A minimum security inmate is one that doesn't have to be behind 2 double-layer fences and have an armed guard when they leave outside of their living area. Medium or maximum security got to be behind double fences and can't go outside their living quarters into a work area without having an armed guard.
Jesus
Christ.
Wow.
They have the work lines. They've got the regular work lines where it's probably 168 to 170 offenders, and you got a pusher, which has no gun, no nothing. He's just got a radio, and then 2 gun guards, one on each end. And then they take them out and they do vegetable work, or they clean fields, or they do whatever.
So let's just get this straight. When you say they take them out in a hootenanny, am I not?
And a hootenanny.
Am I?
Sometimes they walk them.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
With it being 18,000 acres, you're liable to walk a mile before you have to get to your work site.
Okay, when they walk them, do they still do like the chain gang type stuff?
Yes and no. Yes, they still do the chain gang lineup. There's two. They what they would call deuced up lines. They stand side by side.
Yep.
They're in a straight line, but they're not chained together.
Okay.
They are organized. They're walking, and to escort them, you got a gun guard in the back and one on the flank side.
Okay.
Where if they have to turn, like say they turn right, you got a gun guard on the corner constantly counting them. From the time they leave the checkout gate to the time they go to their work site, they're probably counted 15, 20 times.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So when does a hootenanny come into effect?
if they work so far
okay.
that by the time you get to your work site, if it's time to turn around and come back to clear it, because you count them at lunch.
Okay.
So if it's that far, then they'll load up on a what it is. It's an 18-wheeler trailer with no walls on it, and they actually have bench seats to where they're sitting back to back.
Yep.
And it's a regular 18-wheeler trailer with 50 to 53 foot long, and they're sitting back to back. They load all their tools up in the lieutenant's truck, and then the gun guards get in the lieutenant's truck, and then they drive to their work site.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you go look on YouTube and look up the farm, they show videos of the hootenanny.
Oh, that's cool. We'll have to,
because I seen and we saw something with like a hootenanny earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think it was though.
Yeah, that was a hootenanny.
Well, they weren't back to back.
That was a hootenanny.
They weren't back to back. They were sitting face to face.
What was a hootenanny?
Well, I mean,
sorry, I got worked up.
From the time I started and what the hootenanny looked like, they could have changed it. Different episodes may have a handrail and have them turning facing each other or back to back.
Right.
If you look up the movie Monsters Ball, there's a clear shot of what the raw hootenanny look like. It's a big orange truck with a raggedy trailer on the back, and they're all sitting back to back.
That's the one you were on that you said,
yes,
right?
That's the one that
did they use the old hound dogs back when you worked there, or do they still?
They still have them.
No,
they have a dog pen where the offenders take care of the dogs. Now the offenders that handle those dogs live in an isolated area. They don't mix with the regular inmates at all, population.
It's like that song by Blake Shelton, Old Red.
Yes.
Yeah.
The inmate took care of dog.
Like it's exactly like that.
Right.
The offenders that handle the dogs, their life would be at jeopardy, because if we're sitting in a room together and you're the guy that's training the dogs to hunt me if I escape, there's a bounty on your head.
Right.
So they keep them separate. But even with all the knowledge that my family was giving me to go into that line of work at 19 or 20 years old, nothing could prepare me for what I was going to face with, man. Now, do I regret it? Hell no. I learned a lot from that job.
Absolutely.
I learned a lot about humanity, being humble. I learned a lot about who you could trust and not trust, no matter what somebody's background was. When I come out the academy, I was so eager, brother. We had camouflage BDUs, and I mean, it was like a sheet of armor that was on you, bro. You just felt like a badass when you was wearing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So my dad told me, he says, son, he said, when you put that uniform on for the first time, he said, I want you to call me. I want to be the first person that sees you. Well, I thought it was a dad-father moment. I thought it was something that he had done and something, I thought he's going to hit me on the back and say, way to go, boy. You did good.
Yeah.
When he got there, he looked at me and he said, I wanted to see you first so I could remember what you looked like when you was alive.
Oh, wow.
He said, I'm not trying to scare you, Dad.
What the hell?
You're going to be dead one day. He said, but you're going to work at Angola. It's dangerous. He said, and I wanted you to tell me where that badge is at. I said, it's right here over my heart. He said, that's right. It ain't nowhere near your ass. He said, that badge ain't going to cover your ass.
Right.
Your mind and your job and your humanity and how you do your job has to cover your ass.
Yeah.
That badge is just to remind you that you're there to do a moral job, do it correctly.
Right. Yep.
And I was like, damn,
True.
that was a lot of weight to put on a
Hell
kid's mind.
Yeah.
You were what? How old were you then? 18?
Yeah. I think I was closest. I was coming out of being 19 into 20.
Okay.
I don't remember if I was like a hard 19 or if I was going in to be 20.
Okay.
But I mean, I was just like every other wild dude at that time. I didn't know what to expect. I was supposed to come out the academy and go to the field. And a major over the training academy came in and addressed the cadet class, because that's what we all were, was cadets. He said, I never offered this position to a cadet. it's an air conditioned building position, and it was only given to master sergeants or higher.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I never offered this position to a cadet. I'm not going to tell y'all where it's at, and I'm not going to tell y'all what it is. It allowed to be the worst job you ever had. It allowed to be the best job you ever had. But I need to fill the position now, and nobody wants it. Yeah. So I thought for a second. I said, I'll take it.
Air conditioning.
He looked at me, and I was already in my camouflage, so he knew I was going to the field. He said, wait a minute. He said, you going to the field, right? I said, yeah. He said, but why would you take this position? I said, well, I'm sitting here thinking, if you can't find nobody to take it, it's good that somebody steps up. And if nobody wants it, ain't nobody gonna fuck with me to take it away from me.
Yeah, right.
I said, I know about this line of work, and things that y'all need comes with leniency. I said, the only thing I ask is that if I screw up or if I do something wrong, you allow me to go back to the field where I belong before you fire me.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Because if I don't know what I'm going into, I need an exit strategy.
Yeah.
You know, if I go on this position and I screw up, put me back in the field and give me a second chance. He said, I tell you what, Rooster, I'll do that. So I went to CSU with the criminally insane unit right beside the hospital.
Oh, my Lord.
Talk about jumping out the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, no kidding.
This was a 2-story building that had 4 layers of fence and razor wire over the entire building. Now, you're not just to break out of a cell and then break out of the building and then break out of 4 layers of fence. I mean, you was thinking it's like,
and this is
what the hell do y'all have locked up in here?
And this is in Angola, right?
Inside Angola, yes.
Oh my Lord!
When you come through the front gates, you got death row on the right, and then you come up a little piece, and you have you got the armory, you got control center, and main prison. And right before main prison is a big unit that's off on the left that looks like a big dog pen, and that's CSU.
Oh
wow!
Now I had a good job. I was called a key man. I didn't have no paperwork. I didn't have each tier had a desk sergeant. That sergeant was responsible for counts and everything else. And the key man is one person that kind of like oversees the whole unit. If a nurse comes in, you escort her.
Okay.
If a minister comes in, you escort them. You basically a public babysitter.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody comes inside that unit, that key man is responsible for them to get them where they're going and get them out safely.
That's cool.
So not only was I never seen an inmate before in my life, now I'm in charge of 3 people, keeping them away from the criminally insane.
Wow.
So, I mean, bro, it was amazing what I learned. I stayed on that job I kept it for about a year, man. I stayed there. And then I eventually wanted to go back to the field. And the field is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, off every weekend, every holiday. If the weather dropped below 32 degrees, the inmates didn't walk. You had the freedom to either sign a release and go home for the day, or you had 2 weeks off for Christmas, a week off for Thanksgiving.
Oh wow!
I mean, it was just the job to have.
Yeah.
And then he was on a horse all day.
Oh wow!
So by that time I had learned my job. You know, I learned to be that writing tickets for every single thing. Your day is going to be hard. And then, you know, if you was a guy that said, look, you know, I understand you locked up. I didn't put you here.
Right.
Yeah, right.
If you can understand I didn't put you here, then I can take away the fact that you locked up and I can just tell you whatever I want to tell you. And we can get along for 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's the attitude I had.
Yep.
They install upon you firm but fair. Now, firm but fair. If a cop is chasing this car that's doing 80 in a 45, and he pulls it over, and it's a guy trying to get his wife to the doctor or get his pregnant wife to the hospital. Is he speeding? Yes. But what's the greater of two evils?
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
His job, his moral job would be to escort them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, some people may say, well, that's wrong. What if you escort them and they get in a car crash and then, you know, you're helping that guy speed? Well,
yeah.
Well, look at it like this. If you don't help him, what is your next project going to look like?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
There were some inmates that could talk to me crazy because I've learned that's conversation.
Yeah.
And there were some inmates I wouldn't let raise their voice at me.
Yeah.
But it was because of their inner demeanor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You couldn't go in there knowing.
You could just feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't go in there and say, oh, you was a murderer, so you was a piece of junk.
Right.
Okay, let's define murderer. A person who takes another person's life, if we're going to call that a murderer. All right, what about that Vietnam vet that said the gas pumps and somebody's taunting him and he goes to do a block and ends up crushing somebody's larynx? Yeah. And he goes to prison. So you really got to evaluate,
right?
You know, what are you actually looking at? These are human beings.
Yes. Yep.
Now, I can treat you as a human being if you act like one, but I also can treat you like an animal if you act like one.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
You know, but when I went to the field, I was just about to get a promotion, and I was sunburning real bad in the field. And so the lieutenants were like, okay, we got to take care of the hen of the bunch. They started ragging me real bad. Now, Rooster, now I'm a hen. We're going to give him, we're going to send him to the LaGrading shed, the vegetable shed. When the inmates got old and couldn't go out and do hard labor, they would go to the vegetable shed. And what that basically does, they go in there and they sit down and they peel vegetables or they wash the vegetables that are going to different units. It's basically chick work. Yeah, you know, I don't want to stereotype nobody, but that's what it is. Yeah. So the grading shed is this little outhouse sitting on the ground that you sit in. So like a little tower. You have your gun, you got your little chair, and unless they fighting, you really ain't got shit to do. And what's two guys in a wheelchair? How they gonna fight anyway? Right. But you gotta have a gun guard out there. Mm-hmm. So this was about 10 o'clock one morning. It was cold as hell, and the sun was coming out. So they called it Sleepy Hollow because you were so bored back there, you was typically going to fall asleep. Mm-hmm. So here I am knowing my drop. I got me a shitload of snacks, and I'm sitting there eating, and I'm having fun. Yeah. And when I tell you, we went to lunch, and the lieutenants told me, said, Rooster, you know where you working? Don't go put no heavy food on your stomach. The weather's coming out. It's pretty. The sun's coming out. Yeah. I'm like, man, don't tell me how to eat. I know how to eat. I know what I'm doing. So I go to the little shop right outside the front gate, get me a big old hamburger, and I'm wolfing it down. About 45 minutes after me going back out to work, that sun come out. I done took my shirt off. I'm sitting there in my green shirt. Mm-hmm. Shit, let me see if I can do this camera where y'all can see me. When that lieutenant walked up on me, I was in this position.
There's our big boy.
Between my legs. And I was so asleep. I was so asleep that the drool had done drooled down and got my whole shoulder soaking wet.
Holy shit.
The way they found me, the inmates was trying to wake me up and was throwing rocks at me. And the lieutenant rolled by and thought that I was horseplaying with inmates. So when he realized that I was asleep, he went and got his supervisor, because it takes 2 or more to walk up on you before they can declare you asleep. Mm-hmm. So the lieutenant got with another lieutenant. Well, when the captain heard it on the radio, he showed up. So him and the warden bet $1 if they were going to catch me sleeping or not. Now, they pulled the inmates out, which is right in front of me. They, hold on one second.
No, you're good.
We in the middle of the podcast.
We're in the middle of something. We're in the middle of something real cool.
2. So they brought the inmates out. They counted them. The inmates were hollering, "Hey, bro, wake up. They're about to bust you." I didn't hear none of that. They put them on a loud bus that had no muffler. So the rumbling sounded like a race car when they fired up. Still, no response. They brought it around to the front where all the wardens were done piled up across the building, okay? Still no response. I got my shades on. I got the gun in my lap. Well, when the lieutenant walked around, who was coming to catch me asleep, the moment he got close enough to me, his radio squelched. So when I heard Angolify, I kind of opened my eyes and immediately I ejected the clip out the bottom of the gun, flipped it upside down, handed it to him and said, "I quit." Dude said, "Excuse me?" I said, "I quit." He says, "You can't quit. You was asleep." I said, "No, sir, I was not asleep." I said, "I'm stressed out. I can't do this job no more." He said, "Well, why didn't you come out when the inmates were lined up?" I said, "I counted them. They were straight." I said, I wanted y'all to come get me." I said, I'm too stressed out to move." I said, "Take the gun." I handed him the gun and the bullets. I said, "I quit." He says, "This ain't gonna fly, Rooster. You know good and well you was asleep." I said, "Well, I've learned something in life. It ain't what you know, it's what you can prove. And you can't prove I was asleep." So we walked around the corner. There was 10 trucks over there waiting to decide what they were going to do with me. So as we walking by there, the lieutenant's hollering. He's claiming he just quit. He's claiming he quit. That ain't right. Y'all know he was asleep. So when we got there, the warden who liked me said, "Rooster, I'm going to ask you man to man." Well, at that time, I figured I was a kid. I said, because I didn't consider myself a man yet.
Right.
He said, "Man to man, was you asleep?" I said, "No, sir." So I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't asleep. I said, "I quit." And the lieutenant said, "Yeah." When I walked up on him, he said he quit. The captain said, "Wait a minute. Did you acknowledge your presence before he spoke?" The lieutenant said, "No." As soon as I walked up, he seen me, or what he thought seen me, and he spoke first. The warden said, "Hold that thought." He brought out what we call the Bible, which is the rule book. And he said, "Define sleeping." He said, "It has to be witnessed by 1 or 2 ranking officers," which it was, "but the officer has to identify himself through the party." He didn't do that. I spoke first. So the warden looked at me and said, "Rooster, who spoke first?" I said, "I did. When I seen him, I told him I quit." He slammed the book shut. He said, "Take him up front, let the boy resign." And he said, "That's all going to be said about that." He looked at me. He said, "You little fucker, you got away with it this time." He said, "But don't think we ain't watching you." He said, "Give me 30 days, let this shit blow over." He says, "And you can come back to work." He said, "But right now, your ass is going home." He said, "That's it." So he turned to that captain. He said, "Give me my $1. I knew you were going to catch my boy asleep." So he gave him the $1 back. He took me up front, and they made the lieutenant that was out to get me, they made him drive me to the front.
Oh, shit.
So I rode to the front. I didn't say a word. I was like, "Damn, I can't believe I beat that."
You little fucker.
But look, check this out. I'm in my Angola uniform now. There's a prison that was like 8 miles from my house. It's called DCI, Dixon Correctional Institute, right off of Highway 68. And boy, if anybody ever watches this on YouTube, they're gonna know. So only a few people know these stories. But there was a prison called DCI. It was a minimum security prison. That's where you go if you got child support unpaid, if you got DWIs. Low end offenders go there.
Yeah.
So now I'm driving home going, what I'm gonna do for a job? How I'm gonna keep, I gotta find a job for 30 days. So when I come up, I see that don't pick up hitchhikers, you in prison area. I thought, wait a minute. I'm a prison officer. That's what I do. So my ass drives to the front gate. I said, I need to speak to Warden Felker. But that was one of my daddy's best friends, and he was a warden over the whole prison. I said, let me go speak to him. So I park, I walk in, ask to speak to Warden Felker. He agrees to see me. And by now it's about 2:30. So I walk in his office. He says, why are you wearing that uniform in my office? Because he could tell it was an Angola uniform, and they kind of like argue with each other. And I'm like, because I want to be a real correction officer. I said, I want to, he said, boy, don't play with me. He said, I know who you are. He said, what you did? You got run off? I said, nope. At least that's not what you're going to see in my jacket. I said, I didn't get run off. I said, I was at work. It's too far to drive. I said, Angola Road is 22 miles long, and it's 45 minutes from my house. I said, I just want to come to work here because it's closer to my house. He said, you lying little bastard. He said, why didn't you just transfer? He said, what did you do over there that got you run off? I said, nothing. He said, well, you field trash. Let me call the field warden. So he picks the phone up and he calls over there. And I ain't know these people hang out. I thought there was a real beef between them. He calls the damn field warden. He said, hey, explain to me why I got your people in my office. He said, is that Rooster? He said, you better get that bitch some energy medicine. He said, that bitch was asleep in my field. he said, he wiggled out of it. So the warden said, oh, okay. He said, so he want to come over here and sleep in my field, huh? He said, what you want me to do with him? And the guy from Angola said, well, work him for 30 days and then transfer him back. That way the little bastard don't miss a check. And he said, transfer him back. He said, well, I make a deal with you. He said, if he works out, I'm going to keep him, but I'll trade you a master sergeant to keep him. He said, no, we want Rooster back. He said, hire him, let him work so he don't miss a check, and then send him back. He's like, well, what if he's a good officer? He says he is a good officer. That's why we want him back.
Right.
He's like, well, no, I'm going to put him to work, but I'm going to put him somewhere where he can sleep all day. So he hung the phone up. He said, Rooster, said, I'm going to give you a job. So I'm thinking, my head's big. I done fucked over the system. I done beat the system. And I did it all, in one day. I said, now this man finna give me a job where I can sleep all day long. And this is where I'm getting at, where a man's mind and a child's mind. I don't see what's about to happen. He said, I'm going to put you somewhere. So I got just a spot. He said, today's Wednesday. He said, I'm going to sign you up for the shift because you already working. It ain't like we got any kind of training academy stuff. I'm going to sign you up for the shift that works this weekend, but you don't have to work. He said, you're going to be off Thursday, Friday. You're going to get paid for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then you're going to be off Monday and Tuesday. You're going to come back to work Wednesday and Thursday. Then you're going to be off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm only going to work 2 days in a 2-week period and not miss a check. Fucking right.
Sign me up, baby.
But then he says, I'm going to put you somewhere where you can sleep all day. He said, your ass is going to night shift, and we're going to put you in a tower.
Oh.
I was like, wait a minute. What? He said, your ass going to be able to sleep all day long. He said, we got a pregnant lady that works a tower. He says, and she's out. You're going to work that tower every day of her maternity leave.
And then you'll be able to go home and sleep all day.
That's right.
And you'll be able to go home and sleep all day. He said, so I did it. I sucked it up. I did it. And while I was in that tower, I started reading literature. I started reading rules. I started reading how the dorm works. I started reading what's a call out. I started, reading and doing all this studying. So they pulled me out the tower and they put me in a rec room. The rec room is you got 2 dorms on this side, 2 dorms on this side, and an open area with pool tables, TVs, cards, and that was what they called a rec room.
Yeah.
Well, the rec room closes every night at 10 o'clock. So from 10 o'clock to 6 in the morning, you ain't got shit to do.
Yeah.
But that's the position they give you when they training you to be a lieutenant. Because all that freedom, you get to go outside and walk the yard defense. You get to go around and do tower checks, which is all what the lieutenant does. Yeah. Because when they pull the lieutenant to train him to be captain, somebody has to still do that job.
Right.
So at 10 o'clock, when it's lights out and everything settled down, they train the rec room guy to be a lieutenant so they can pull the lieutenant to do the captain's job and give the captain a break so he can train to be the major. And that's how it works. Well, I come straight out of a tower and went straight into the rec room. Yep. So that means they were investing in me to keep me.
Yep.
Right.
So in the middle of me doing that, I broke up a lot of fights. I broke up a lot of, I mean, it was hands on.
Yeah, while you're on that topic, what is the craziest thing you dealt with working in Angola or this other joint?
On a normal
I call it
day,
a joint, didn't
in
I?
a normal day,
I like that.
It would have been at DCI or Angola or Jetson when the juveniles. This is a whole different can of worms we ain't even open yet. Was when I worked with the juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
Each one has a crazy story with it, but Katrina took the cake when we went down, and nothing's ever going to compare to that. When we had to evacuate OPP, Orleans Parish Prison.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go then. It was flooded. It was probably waist deep of water.
Oh my!
And
Lord.
we had to go into that parish jail, get those offenders, pull them out, bring them to Angola, and house them until the flood went down.
Yeah,
holy,
a long time.
Yeah,
I mean, we had guys in there that had just been picked. Let's say I don't remember days for days, but to put it in perspective, if you got arrested on Friday for drunken disorder, and the storm happened Saturday, and you was gonna see the judge on Monday and bond out. The storm happened Saturday. We evacuated y'all Sunday morning. We went in there and put hand to hand. We handcuffed this guy to that guy and got you out of there. We didn't have time to check. Okay, all the rapists on this end, all the murderers on this end. Mm-hmm. You liable to have been there for just drunken disorder, and you chained to a gang member who everybody in the prison is trying to get. And then all the paperwork's destroyed. We don't know who you are. We don't know what you there for. We don't know if an offender has done beat a correction officer, got the uniform, put you in the uniform, and you standing there going, I'm a cop, I'm a cop.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, during that flooding, how many inmates didn't make it out?
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever got an official number, but I do know a lot of them took their own life.
Oh, really?
I mean, think about it. These are guys who have never seen swamp, never seen water, never, they can't swim. You've heard the stereotype, black dudes don't swim. Yeah. But when you take these young guys and you put them in a cell, the police officers left. They went to higher ground.
Yeah. Right.
Not necessarily to abandon them, but nobody's trained for that. You know, this is a parish jail. These guys are off-duty, regular jobs, you know. They're not trained to handle
Hurricane Katrina. Fuck.
Yeah.
No one was prepared for Hurricane Katrina. I mean,
what year was that? I don't remember when that one was.
2000?
It was, 11? Was it 10 years ago? Several years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
When it destroyed New Orleans. Bad.
I was thinking like 11 or 14.
Somewhere around
there. I mean, there was a lot of offenders who rebelled, you know, who bugged up, who fought and just stayed fighting. Now, what was the most horrible part is the aftermath.
Yeah.
When we got them on a bus, they were trying to take the bus over. They was trying to fight each other. Now, in the middle of all of this, we're being shot at by regular people on the rooftops. You know, people are scared. They're wanting us to rescue them instead of the inmates. And I mean, it's almost like in a battle. We're trying to go in and we're being shot at and taking fire. Jesus. And we're trying to, you know, get these guys and bring them to safety. When we got them to Angola, we had to back them into a fence, push them all out into an open field with tents. They wouldn't let us go fingerprint them. They wouldn't let us ID them.
Oh, shit.
They fought everything we did. We eventually had to just take sandwiches and put them in big trash bags and take a forklift and lift them over the gate and just let them whoever ate, whoever didn't. It was a free for all because we didn't have the manpower it was more or less a crowd control issue.
Yeah, right.
There was things that were done that was unspeakable to each other.
Yeah.
Because there was no way to protect this guy from that guy. There was no way to protect this gang member from that gang member because they wouldn't cooperate.
Right.
Yeah.
But
they're in the middle of the chaos, so they took advantage of that too.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand. They didn't realize by doing that, it hindered them.
Yeah.
Big time.
Right.
Because we had to stop doing what was right to just save lives.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But on a normal basis, while I was at DCI, my moral compass was really tested.
Mm-hmm.
While I was at DCI, I had earned the respect of night shift to go to day shift. I had started earning the respect of everybody that I thought, you know what, I ain't gonna go back to Angola. I'm gonna stay and give DCI a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I was what they call a roving officer. I was in the cell block. Because of my physique at the time and because of the people that I knew, I could handle myself hand to hand. I was taking every class I could for what they called close impact hand-to-hand training. So I was working the cell block. This young handicapped kid come in, and he was hollering, I didn't do it. He had just left ARDC, which was at Hunt's. So he probably wouldn't been locked up. You stay at Hunt's for 6 months before you go to your regular prison in Louisiana. So he probably went to court. He's probably been locked up for a year.
Okay.
And you can tell people had messed over him because he wasn't all there. And when we were taking them in to give them their orders of what cell they were going to, he was making all kind of noise. Hey, I didn't do it. I didn't touch him. I didn't touch him. So that automatically made me red flag pedophile. I didn't touch him. That right there, you don't want a lot of other inmates seeing that because his safety would be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So I pulled him off to the side. I said, look, bro, you got to shut up. So the captain that was over there was drill sergeant mentality. Shut up when I tell you to shut up or I'm going to shut you up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at his mentality, just face value, he's a hard-ass prick.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at him with an educated ear, he's doing it for everybody's safety. Shut up so I can tell you what to do, because the sergeants, you could basically be in a room, the captain can speak, none of the sergeants speak, and everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know what you're supposed to do, it's a domino effect. If he tells that guy to go that way, your job is to cover what he leaves behind.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just simply do what he says, everybody see.
Yeah.
So when he seen that inmate saying, I didn't touch him, and he looked at me and said, Rooster, your only job is to shut him the hell up.
Oh.
Well, I knew right then it was me or him.
Right.
Because if I failed to do my job, I'm going to get moved.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I didn't shut him up, the captain had the training to go, not only are they going to try to kill him, they're going to try to hurt me to get to him.
Right.
Because that's something you don't want to be in prison is I didn't touch him.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept trying to tell this handicapped dude, look, bro, you got to shut up or you about to get messed up.
Yep.
So I'm asking myself, bro, this is a handicapped dude. He's probably got falsely accused of something.
Mm-hmm.
He probably got railroaded. And I'm just gonna have to choke this dude? No, bro. I don't want nothing to do with this job.
Yeah.
And I had that thought in my head. But then I heard a calm voice. And I felt something touch my shoulder. And I heard that voice say, you didn't try him. You didn't convict him. You didn't put him there. Your job is to keep him there, not figure out if he's innocent or guilty.
Right.
He says, do your job and do it right and let the rest of it fall in my hands. Yeah. And right then it hit me. If you see these people anything other than a DOC number, give your job up, give your badge up and go away.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put that into it. So
yeah, you can't get personal with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized, all right, bro, you fixing to have to shut up, or I'm fixing to have to shut you up. And when I crossed that line and knew there's a point in time where you have to do your job, no matter what it asks of you, you've got to do your job. That's the only reason I made it in that line of work and had a career.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because, now there's some when I went back and I had years of experience and I had enough of experience to understand there's a white, a black, and a gray. Correction officers live in that gray.
Yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to bring them nothing. Yep. You know how many inmates I brought street hamburgers for to have Hobbycraft made? You know, I never brought drugs, phones, alcohol, nothing like that. But you have to live in that gray area just to survive.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I lived on the farm, I would get yard work done. I'd have maintenance done on my trailer, and I'd be barbecuing. And I'd be like, look, fellas, will y'all do me a favor and clean that grill out and throw all that shit in the garbage and take care of that farmer? You got that, Sarge? Well, what they're throwing in garbage was all that food that I done cooked up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you know, do you get interpersonal with them? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I worked on the when I worked at the rodeo, everybody there had light. I let my boys, my two boys, I let an inmate that I checked him out to me, and he had a horse, and I had a horse that two of my boys rode, and his job was to babysit them during the day.
Oh, wow.
Right.
While I was working, I would see them. He'd come to the rodeo. Hey, Sarge, we checking in. You know, get them something to eat.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you get in a personal? But you have to get in a personal with the ones that understand first who you are, who they are, and you will do what you have to if they make you.
Right.
Yeah. They can't cross your line.
Yeah.
And there was a situation. There was I was working at DCI, and I was working the outside road crew. All of the state office buildings in Baton Rouge get cleaned by inmate labor. So you put them on a bus, you go out to them locations, and it's like 12 guys and one free man, and they do janitorial work. Well, what this prison did not tell me was one of the guys that was on my crew had a twin brother that worked in one of them office buildings. So this inmate had to go on a hospital trip. So he was gone for a few days. Well, they didn't tell me nothing about that. He just wasn't there to check out. So we get off the bus, we walking across the state capitol parking lot, and I see this son of a bitch walking to me. And I hear the inmates talking among themselves. And I'm like, holy shit. I said, that the bitch is in regular clothes. So I'm kind of getting nervous. I don't want to jump the gun and think it, but when the inmates start talking,
you get nervous.
You know, I may miss something. An inmate ain't gonna miss shit.
Right.
So when they started thinking that was him, that just upped what I needed to know.
Oh yeah.
So I finally stopped. I said, hey fellas, I said, is that numb nuts right there? They were like, Sarge, I think so. Yeah, dude, looks like it to me. So when the dude seen us looking at him, he knew his brother worked there. So his job was to kind of get away from the line, you know, get away from it, because he knew that if him and his brother correspond, his brother would get in trouble. So when he looked away and tried to walk away from us, there again, that raised our suspicion. So I looked at him. I said, how is this going to go down? Are y'all going to help him or y'all going to help me? They were like, hey, Sarge, we got your back. What's the play? I said, we finna catch that fucker. He said, all right. So we all was walking like we didn't see him. And then we ran up to him and caught him and held him down. I got on the radio and called for a lieutenant. And this dude screaming, it ain't me, that's my brother. And the rest of them were like, look, bro, I know who this Sarge is. Your best to just shut up, do what you told. Let's figure this shit out when Rank gets here. So when Rank got there, we fingerprinted him, confirmed his ID, and then apologized to him for the mess up. And that's when everybody, that bitch got a twin brother. And I was like, well, bro, y'all need to tell somebody something, bro. You know, you got me out here. You got me out here fucked up. These dudes, you know, I'm used to working cell block and people that, you know, that spit on you and throw stuff at you. I said, y'all got me out here walking around with these free dudes, man. This shit ain't right.
Yeah. Boy, we could probably have 2 segments just on this prison talk. Holy shit.
Well, I mean, bro, we ain't even touched the fact that I work with the juveniles.
Right.
I never a buddy of mine left Angola and went to be a captain the juvenile detention center. And when I realized he was a captain, I was like, well, shit, I could go transfer over there and I'll be his lieutenant in the field. I said, that'll work. So I called him on the phone. I said, hey, man, I said, you need a lieutenant? He said, hell yeah, Rooster. He said, but this is a total different world than what you used to. I said, hey, man, as long as you're willing to train me, I said, I got the hours and the training and the experience. I could take the lieutenant's test. He said, well, hell, you get a score and we'll put you as a lieutenant over here. So as I was going to schedule for the test, he put the transfer in and got me over there. Man, when I tell you, that's a whole different cup of tea. 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's end here with that. We'll do another one on that. How about that, Bruce?
Right, well, I tell you what, when we come back, we'll talk about the life of a juvenile detention center and what juvenile life really consists of.
Yeah.
That'll be freaking.
We will do that.
A whole different cup of tea, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh
yeah.
It'd be cool.
All right. Well, look, man. I'm gonna check on out. Let y'all close up.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
When we come back, juvenile life. What does it really mean?
Hell yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you,
Rooster.
Hey, love y'all, bro.
Later,
I'll talk to y'all when we come back.
Yes, sir.
Later, buddy.
See ya.
If any of you guys have been COs anywhere, drop that in the comments.
Yeah.
If you got any wild stories, let us know.
If you care to share them stories, that'd be pretty neat.
A turtle can breathe out of its ass.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
What is that? A turtle can breathe out of its ass.
Out of its ass. Yeah.
Out the asshole.
Out the asshole. Yes. Breathe.
And the mouth?
Breathe. I want you to try that.
Or does it breathe out of its ass and not the mouth?
Just breathes out of the asshole. It can do both.
Oh, it can.
Breathe out of the ass and the mouth. Yes.
Why wouldn't it just use the mouth all the time?
I'm not sure, but they can breathe out of their asshole.
That's some bad breath.
Do we end this?
Yep.
Laters.